the owner and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, brought to you by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Good morning, Jerry. How are you this morning?
Doing great, RJ and Pat. Good to have you on, and good to be here.
Great to chat with you this morning. Coming off a bye weekend, came at the best time with you guys, a little banged up, but it also now today is the trade deadline in the NFL. We should get right to it. 3 o'clock this afternoon, Central Time. Teams have to finish that up. Should we expect the Cowboys to stay where you guys are right now, or are you looking at a potential move between now and the next 6.5 hours here before the deadline?
Well, we're always looking, and that's plenty of time. And we do have, let's say we have consideration in the mill. I mean, we're giving it thought, and but this is when you do it. This is the deadline that everybody needs to push back against, and to that end, anything's possible.
Jerry, philosophically, do you guys enjoy dealing from a position of strength where, you've got maybe an overload at this position, you'd be more apt to trade that, or you like to keep your resources and then trade maybe draft picks?
This time of year, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's fresh on my mind not having that number one pick to deal with last year in the draft. Yet at the same time, you look ahead, we've got such an opportunity, I believe, here this year, and we've got the schedule ahead of us to do it. And so this is usually, it swings one way or the other. Usually at different times, having a player to trade is important. This, I guess, is that time. But you get down near that draft, the draft picks become precious and the players become more of a commodity. But right now it's right in the middle. You certainly are looking for need if you have a chance to improve it. But it's a continual deal, but I think it just heats up. Deadlines are there for a reason. It is to basically cause things to happen. We've got a reason why we don't continue this process right on through, let's say, playoff time, because we don't want to get somebody to have an unfair advantage by doing something to sway the trade balance that we keep the league competitive.
How often do you get a phone call on a player and it's just like you hang up the phone immediately? That guy is not available. Is that like a yearly thing, weekly, this time of year, what?
I would say it's not a daily thing, but I would say it's a weekly thing. And, we can get a call from various ways. There's a lot of ways to communicate, and a lot of our guys have relationships, and they get a little chum going. Somebody throws out some chum, and you get a little conversation going, and then it ultimately, but by the time it gets to me, you usually are a little farther down the road. I know that I can speak directly to clubs and do, and on the other hand, Stephen does, Will does, and frankly, we have a lot of our basic in-house, the year-round guys that stay in pretty close with us. They've got friends that come up with ideas on other clubs.
Jerry Jones joining us on the Sean and RJ Show on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, his appearance brought to you by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Jerry, this bye week, that is the time that teams reevaluate. They start giving grades on how things have gone to this point. Your team 4-3 at the bye. How would you grade this Cowboys team at this point in the season and what they've done so far?
Well, without being tried, I think that's a pretty good grade, 4-3. And that's as good a way to grade it as I know, is how many games do you win? Now, you can break that down, and that's a continual thing. As you know, we grade our players every week. And we grade them with the personnel department, and we grade them, and they get their grades on how they played from their coaches. All of that is a collaboration, if you will, of really where we think the player is. And this might not surprise you, but a lot of times scouts or the general scouting opinion or grade of a player is different than his coach, his position coach, or the coaching staff in general. They don't necessarily coincide.
When you looked at the season, is your expectation? Are they at the bye? You guys at the bye week with the record you expected? Like, you go back, everybody circles all these games. That's a win. That's a loss. Is this about where you guys expected to be?
No, I thought we would be better. Our record would be better, and of course, we had penciled in maybe a closer one of those, the Philadelphia game or the New Orleans game. We didn't think just the obvious. We didn't think the Jets game would have the outcome that it had. But I do know this, that I don't know which ones, but I know you're going to get some surprises both ways. And but I thought we'd be really better than this, and I'd hoped we would be better than this by 3. But that's not to say that's expectation. We know how balanced this thing is in the NFL. So let's just say that I thought we'd be better than this, but if, in fact, by getting here, we've gotten here going forward healthier, if we've gotten here having gained some knowledge of young players, or if we've gotten here by getting more mileage out of some of our veteran players than we had anticipated, then I'd rather be here at 4-3 with other positives going right for us, injury being the principal one. I'd rather get here like that than I had with one more win.
Jerry Jones joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. Considering San Francisco's undefeated and Green Bay is 7-1 and New Orleans and the way Minnesota's playing, do you view the NFC East, winning the division as your best and really only chance to make the postseason?
I wouldn't go as far on any basis say it's the only way, but it certainly is the way. And it's what we've got to have our eyes on, is to win this East.
Jerry Jones joining us here on The Fan. All right, Jerry, the team, I don't believe, has officially announced the Michael Bennett addition. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You can correct me if that's true or not, or if there was an addition that could be made to the defensive line over the last week or so. If so, or if that is about to be announced, how would you describe what a player that could be traded from New England to your team, what that might be able to do to your defensive line and help your team going forward?
Well, I think that it will give us more experience, and will give us a player that has a mentality that really fits us with what we're trying to do. We like a player that can go inside, has some flex to go outside, but we like them when they do go inside to be a rush threat, a real threat. And Bennett does that. And the other thing is that would expect him to come in and play at the level that he played certainly last year. He hasn't played that much this year. Right. And we got satisfied as to why he hadn't. And consequently, we think he's got a lot left in his tank, and expect him to come in and, frankly, contribute immediately. Jerry,
Michael Bennett spoke in the offseason saying that he was planning to stay in the locker room during the national anthem while as a member of the New England Patriots. You have been very vocal about your stance about the national anthem for the Dallas Cowboys. If he decides to stay in the locker room during the national anthem going forward, will you be okay with that, or is that something that you discuss with the player before he comes to be a part of the Dallas Cowboys organization?
Well, you asked about 3 or 4 questions there, but I'm satisfied that we've in Michael got a player that knows how we do it here with the Cowboys.
Going forward for this team now, your expectations, do you feel like this Cowboys team is still considered one of the contenders to win a Super Bowl this season with what you've seen so far?
Oh, I think that we have the potential. I don't think the way that we have played so far will get us there. On balance, the good and the bad. But I think that with where we are this morning with our health, and where we are with how we can play as you go through the position groups, as you go through what we've put together relative to how we're going to play defense, our strategies, just our approach, and I look at the competition. yeah, I think we've got a chance to get in the playoffs, and if we do and we're healthy, I think we've got a chance to advance.
Jerry, John Kitna says Dak still hasn't hit his peak yet. What do you think he still has to do to reach that peak?
Oh, my goodness, win a Super Bowl. But I certainly don't think he's hit his peak. And if he's got the makeup, he's got the physicalness, he seems sound physically, so that if he can be available, then he's going to get better. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And so that's a step closer toward his peak. I don't know how to define his peak other than he's a quarterback that I think can generally not make the bad play. I think he has that in his mentality. Don't make the bad play. At the same time, because of his ability to run, his size, and because of his ability to see and play downfield, I think he's got the ability to make bigger plays, and you need to have some of those in a ball game.
Jerry?
You combine all of that, you've got a guy that is going to be better for us winning games.
Jerry, it's always fun to watch the social media, see what the players are doing on the bye week, and a chance to maybe go back to their hometowns. I'm wondering how you spent your bye week. Did you go watch your grandson play some football for the Arkansas Razorbacks, or what were you doing with your weekend off?
Well, I did do that. I was over at Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and for the Pigs, it was a hard night. The Razorbacks got more than they could deal with Alabama, who was number one in the nation when they played them Saturday night. But John Stephen, my grandson, got an opportunity to get in and was quarterbacked a great drive. I know he would love to have won the game, but he did get to throw for a touchdown and come up with some good plays, and we were so excited for him because that's quite a milestone in my mind, the way I look at it, to be out there over 100,000 people in that Denny Bryant Stadium and playing the number one team in the nation and get out there and quarterback those Razorbacks down the field. That was that was a good feeling, even though it had a backdrop of loss.
Do you take a break from watching as much NFL as you would on a normal weekend? Do you get away from the game a little bit too?
Oh, normally I don't watch that much football on a weekend, the games themselves. But I did on this Sunday. I watched every game. I had it going every kind of way you could see the games and get the information, and that is a big day for me. I love to do that and just really soak it up. But normally I'm either on the way to the stadium on game day. I watch Monday night or I watch Thursday night if we're not playing on those nights, and then of course I do get to watch Sundays if we're not playing.
He is Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, joining us here on The Fan, brought to you by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Jerry, thank you so much for some time this morning. Good luck the rest of the way, and maybe go beat the Giants on Monday Night Football. What do you say?
Yes, have a good week, and that'll get us ready. We've got to get this team ready to go. Don't underestimate these Giants now.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a great rest of your day now. There he goes, Jerry Jones on The Fan.